Okay, welcome to the very first session of the AAMI Standards Insider webinar series. This is Amanda Benedict, Vice President of Standards at AAMI, and we are so thrilled to have you join us today for this very first session. I've had the opportunity over the years to join some of the AAMI Town Hall meetings and provide information specific to HTM or specific to sterilization or medical device manufacturers. And talk about some of the activities that we have going on in standards that are specific to those audiences. But we have a lot that is going on that is happening across our programs, and it's relevant to multiple stakeholders. So we wanted to start up this session, this series, to give you information broadly that's relevant to you, the AAMI standards community, and help ensure that you're aware of the activity that's going on across our programs. So the objectives for this webinar series is to introduce, especially this one, introduce the AAMI Standards Insider webinar series. This is the very first one. We intend to have another one later on this year, probably November timeframe. And then going forward, we'll be doing this on a quarterly basis, again, to provide regular updates on our activity within standards. In particular, for today's session, we wanted to give you a foundation so that you know who's who and you know who to contact within the AAMI Standards team if you're working on a specific area of our standards program, or if you're interested in making connections and getting involved. We want you to know how to connect with our people. We also wanted to give an opportunity for our AAMI membership colleagues to provide some information about programs going on within AAMI membership, and also to highlight information and updates about resources that we have for AAMI standards and the activity going on within our programs. For future AAMI Standards Insider webinars, we'll focus less on the operational aspects of our standards program and do some deeper dives into program areas and help you to understand how the mechanics of standards work, explain things like how the national activity rolls up to the international activity, and let you know about activities that are underway and new opportunities to get involved. Okay, so with that, I wanted to give you a little bit of background about the AAMI Standards Program. AAMI brings together a diverse community of more than 9,000 healthcare technology professionals. They have one common mission that unites them, which is the development, management, and use of safe and effective health technology. AAMI Standards Program started shortly after AAMI was founded in 1967. So we've been a standards developer for a little bit more than 50 years. We were accredited by the American National Standards Institute, or ANSI, in 1977 to write American National Standards. We administer technical committees of ISO and IEC, and we also administer a number of US mirror groups, what we call US tags, to the ISO and IEC technical committees. We develop US standards and other technical documents, such as technical information reports and consensus reports. And to do this, we bring together a global community of medical technology standards professionals. Our standards program currently consists of more than 230 unique consensus bodies that are working under AAMI's purview. This includes thousands of volunteers around the globe that are developing and maintaining medical device standards and guidance documents on a wide range of topics, such as the ones listed below. These are more or less organized into two groups, which is device standards that apply to particular devices, and general standards, or what we call horizontal standards, which tend to be processes applying across groups of devices. So about a year and a half ago, we started on a major restructuring of the AAMI Standards Program, and we wanted to align our operations within these device standards and general standards streams. And we also wanted to increase our operational efficiency and the support provided across all of our standards programs. So we started up a shared services stream as well. So I have a schematic on the right-hand side of the screen here that you should be seeing. This is how our department is organized today. So one of our primary purposes for today's session is so that we can introduce you to the members of our team. We've had quite a few new additions over the past year and a half, so I wanted to give all of our folks some time to introduce themselves to you and to let you know what areas of our program and portfolio they're working in. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ovidiu Muntanu, who is our Senior Director in our General Standards Development stream, and then we'll go through the different program areas. Ovidiu?
Thank you, Amanda, and hello, everyone. As Amanda mentioned, my name is Ovidiu Muntanu. I've been with AAMI for almost 8 months as a Senior Director responsible for the AAMI General Standards, or as we call them, the horizontal standards. In my role, I manage the Equipment Management Committee and its working groups who write the EQ standards, and the Software Management Committee and working groups who write the SM standards. I'm also the ES Tag Administrator for the Quality Management or QM mirror committees to the ISO TC210, as well as the committee manager of the ISO TC210 committee at the ISO level. That committee and its related groups develop the quality management standards for medical devices. And with that, back to you, Ananda.
Okay, so I'll turn it over to Hei Cho.
Hi, good afternoon and good morning to everybody out there. My name is Hei Cho. I'm the Director of Standards. I work in the General Standards team. Sorry for my weird webcam going on. I'm usually used to doing it on my phone, so I was just doing this last minute. Sorry about that. So I work mostly with the horizontal and the general aspects of the medical electrical equipment. I serve as the secretary for the IEC Subcommittee 62A, which is the group responsible for the IEC 60601 -1 series of standards. And that's on the international side. From the national side of the house, I work as the TAG secretary for TC 62, so the IEC Technical Committee 62, as well as the Subcommittee 62A. And along with that, I work with the AAMI corresponding committees to that work. So those are Alarms Committee, Electrical Safety, EMC, Home Care, and Emergency Services, as well as Human Factors Engineering. So that's kind of one sector. And the other thing that I've been working with also is the international side of the house with software and emerging technologies. So we have a couple other colleagues who work on the national side of the house, but I deal mostly with the international portion. And this means serving as the secretary for the ISO TC 215, which is a group that works on health informatics. That has a joint working group set with IEC Subcommittee 62A. And along with that, I just took on the responsibility for the AI, the AAMI AI Artificial Intelligence Committee. So I'm gearing to go with that group. So if you have any questions on any of that work, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hei. And now Jody Allen.
Hey everyone, I am Jody Allen. I'm a director in the General Standards Development Department at AAMI. I've been at AAMI for about 3 months exactly, today I believe. I handle the Health IT Committee and the subsequent working groups 1 through 4, which is Health IT Risk Management, Health IT Quality Systems, Health IT Usability, and Health IT Safety Working Group. I also manage the Biological Evaluation or BE Committee, which is also the U.S. Technical Advisory Group to ISO TC 194, Biological and Clinical Evaluation of Medical Devices. That also incorporates the 17 mirror groups, so BE Working Group 1 through BE Working Group 7. So anything related to biological evaluation, I would be handling. The TS Committee, the Tissue Product Safety Committee, as well as a few sterilization groups, Sterilization Working Group 60, EO Sterilization, Sterilization Working Group 61, Chemical Sterilants Hospital Practices, Sterilization Working Group 83, Reusable Surgical Textiles Processing, Working Group 84, Endoscope Reprocessing, Sterilization Working Group 85, Human Factors for Device Reprocessing, Sterilization Working Group 86, Quality Systems for Device Reprocessing, Sterilization Working Group 93, Cleaning of Reusable Medical Devices, and Sterilization Working Group 95, Water Quality for Reprocessing Medical Devices.
Great, thank you, Jody. Okay, Switching into our device-specific standards development team, LaDawn Vilakashi is the Senior Director for Device-Specific Standards. I'm going to give an overview on behalf of LaDawn. She's a little under the weather today, so we're trying to avoid LaDawn having to do too much speaking. So LaDawn serves as the team lead of the AAMI Device-Specific Standards portfolio and supports the national and international standards development activities of several of the device committees. She also works with our AAMI Standards Board, which is the body that helps us to develop, maintain, implement AAMI standards programs, program policies and procedures. She functions as the secretary of IEC Subcommittee 62D, Electromedical Equipment, and committee manager of ISO TC 150 Subcommittee 6, Active Implants. There are a number of AAMI committees that LaDawn works with that function as the subject matter expert groups that provide input into the international standards that are developed by groups under IEC Subcommittee 62D or IEC, or ISO rather, TC 150 Subcommittee 6. These groups are Blood Pressure Monitoring Committee, or BP, Cochlear Implants Committee, CI, Defibrillator Committee, DF, ECG Committee, EC. She has a number of working groups under EV, working groups 2 through 14. She also works with High Frequency Therapeutic Device Committee, HF, Infusion Device Committee, ID, Infant Incubator Committee, II, Implantable Infusion Pumps Committee, IP, Multi-Parameter Patient Monitoring Equipment Committee, or MP. She works with INS Working Group 3, which is Transcutaneous Electrical Stimulator Working Group. Also, the Cardiac Rhythm Management Device Committee, PC, and the 3 working groups under that work with transvenous cardiac leads, EMC test protocols for pacemakers, ICDs, and CRTs, and pacemaker and ICD MRI compatibility. She works also with AAMI Robotics Committee, RB, Sphygmanometer Committee, SP, Waveform Testing Committee, WV, the tag for 150 Subcommittee 6, and the tag for IEC 62D. Quite a lot. Okay, we'll turn it over to Cliff Bernier.
Hi, I'm Cliff Bernier, Director of Standards at AAMI. I'm in the device-specific department. I function as the ISO Committee Manager for ISO TC 150 SC2, Cardiovascular Implants and Extracorporeal Systems. And on the AAMI side, I staff AAMI domestic committees, and the primary role is standards development. So under ISO TC 150 SC2, there are 8 working groups, and I administer those and the US mirror groups, or subject matter advisory groups for them. And those consist of working group 1 is cardiac valves, and the mirror group is the AAMI Cardiac Valve Committee. Working group 3 is vascular prostheses, and the mirror group is the AAMI Vascular Prostheses Committee. Working group 4 is blood gas exchangers, and that's AAMI BG, which is Blood Gas Exchange Device Committee. Working group 5 is renal disease, renal replacement, basically the dialysis committee, and I administer AAMI RD, which is the renal committee. Working group 6 is vascular device drug combination products, and I administer the mirror group for that, which is VPWG01 with the same title. Working group 7 is cardiovascular absorbable implants, and the designation for that on the AAMI side is VI with the same title. And WG8 is cardiac occluders, and the AAMI mirror committee is CO, which is cardiac occluders. I also take care of a couple of standalone AAMI committees, combination products, and the DP committee. the particulates committee, medical device particulates committee. I also administer the U.S. tag for TC84, which is devices for administration of medicinal products and catheters. On the AAMI side, the designation is DPC, and that's the U.S. tag for TC84. And there are, working group 3 through 17 active in that committee as well. So quite a varied portfolio. I've been at AAMI 30 years, and happily employed.
Thank you, Cliff. Happy to have you. And next we'll go to Colleen Elliott.
Hi, I'm Colleen Elliott. I am Director of Standards at AAMI. I've been at AAMI for 11 years, and I work in the device-specific area. I am committee manager for ISO TC121 anesthetic and respiratory equipment, as well as TC121 subcommittee 2 airways and related equipment. I am the tag administrator for AAMI AR anesthetic and respiratory equipment, which is the US tag to ISO TC121. Also the tag administrator for the tags to subcommittees 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. SC1 is breathing attachments and anesthetic machines. SC3 is respiratory devices and related equipment used for patient care. SC4 is vocabulary and semantics. SC6 is medical gas supply systems, and SC8 is suction devices. And there's also a number of working groups under all of those subcommittees that I also manage the tag work for. I also manage TC210, Joint Working Group for small bore connectors, as well as AAMI CN, which is the expert committee related to that. And I have a standalone committee, Connectors Working Group 1, which is lower activated valves.
Great, thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll go to the shared services team, and we'll start with Shania Magawa.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Shania Magawa. I am Senior Manager of the Shared Services Group. I work with the Shared Services team to provide support in distributing and managing committee action items and ballots, in addition to other assigned tasks on behalf of directors. In addition, I'll be working with the AAMI SU Sustainability Committee as committee manager. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go to Darren Robertson.
I have been with AAMI for going on 2 years now. I am a program manager with the Shared Services Division, handling internal support for various things as Shania mentioned. And I am also handling and directing committee, which is Protected Barriers Committee as well.
Okay, thank you, Darren. We'll go to Sam Alameda.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Alameda, and I'm a program manager with Shared Services at AAMI. I work closely with department team leads and directors, as well as AAMI members and others to broadly support the development of standards and related products across AAMI standard portfolios. I currently work on and with TIB US tag for ISO TC76. TIB is the transfer, infusion, injection and blood processing equipment for medical and pharmaceutical use. The committee recently approved development of AAMI Technical Information Report TIR guidance for closed system transfer device testing with hazardous drugs. The TIR seeks to provide guidelines for physical and chemical compatibility of the drugs with closed system transfer, which may include but not limited to hold up volume, coring, fragmentation of the vial, rubber stopper, microbiome, grass stability, shelf life, and utility. I work with 3 working groups. Working group 1, soft containers for blood infusion transfusion and blood processing equipment. Working group 2 is rigid container systems and accessories. Working group 4 is elastomeric parts, components, and packaging. I look forward to working with everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sam. We'll go to Tisha Payne.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tisha Payne. I am a technical editor under the Shared Services Division, and I mainly work to format and edit our standards documentation for submission to publication. I also collaborate with the editorial department to funnel standards news and highlights for any news and other informative information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tisha. Let's go to Anna Leggett next.
Thanks, Amanda. Hi, I'm Anna Leggett. I am the Standards Department Program Coordinator. Among other things, I do all of the roster management, so anytime there are changes to committee representation, whether it be roles or additions, or people being removed, that all comes through me. I also manage our committee central platforms, including overseeing the transition that's currently happening between the old platforms and new platform. So anything involved in that, including questions that may arise, trainings, the changes on our website, all of that also goes through me. I also handle any questions or inquiries that come in through the standards and sterilization inboxes, as well as through our phone line and other general departmental matters. So if you ever have any questions, standards related or not, you can always reach out to me at standards@aami.org.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Next, Joe Llewellyn.
Hi, I'm Joe Llewellyn. I apologize, I'm having a glitch with my webcam right now, but I am in my 32nd year here at AAMI, and so I imagine many of you know me, and if you, the ones that don't, I would welcome a chance to get to know you. I am the Senior Advisor for Content and Strategy for AAMI and AAMI Standards, which means I am tasked with helping to coordinate and develop strategy in standards development and in developing content and products based on our standards, not only across the team, but with other departments, and sometimes in cooperation or in partnership with other organizations. That includes bringing some new subject areas into the standards department to be developed by the fine people who've already spoken to you. And it's a real honor to be working with this new team. A lot of really, really good people, and I'm really happy to be here and part of that, and to see them, these guys who are the future of the AAMI Standards Department. In addition, I'm in charge of a lot of other special initiatives, including the International Standards Conference and some efforts to help promote standards harmonization globally and regulatory convergence with groups like the Inter-American Coalition for Regulatory Convergence and others. Since I have been here a long time, I'm a good person if you have questions about who to talk to about something. I'll be always happy to help you figure out who's in charge of a specific thing and understand where a subject might fit within our AAMI Standards program. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have questions or need help in navigating your way through AAMI. And finally, I'm also involved in helping coordinate new work items, especially when they're outside of the current work program. So if you're interested in seeing AAMI pursue new work, think that there's some standards that need to be developed in an area, especially in areas that we're not already working, please reach out to me and I'll help you with that. And I think that's it, Amanda.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And to add a little bit more color to the information I shared earlier about my role as Vice President of Standards with AAMI, I've been with AAMI for a little bit more than 6 years. I started as a director, and there's been quite a bit of evolution of my portfolio over the past 6 years. So currently, in addition to having broad oversight of AAMI standards program and policies, I serve as the committee manager for ISO TC 198, sterilization of healthcare products, and also the committee manager for the affiliated US tag to ISO TC 198, which is AAMI Sterilization Standards Committee. And I also work with a number of the working groups that serve as US expert groups to the working groups under ISO TC 198, so working groups 1 through 16 and working group 42. I also work with AAMI's Committee on Standard Strategy, which is an advisory group of sorts that helps to set the strategy and works with us on our operational plan for the AAMI Standards program. And I'm very happy to announce that the AAMI Standards team is growing. We are bringing on another standards director in the near future, and that position is expected to take on some of the sterilization work and also some work from the other programs as well. So we'll have a new person to introduce to this group, if not the next webinar, the one starting up for Q1 2022. So with that, let me go on to the next slide. At this point, I wanted to introduce John Sloan, who's AAMI's new Vice President of Membership, and Mary Jane Thomas, our Senior Director of Membership Development.
I was giving John a second there, not sure if he's here. Well, I'll go ahead and get started then. Thank you for having us, Amanda and Standards team. We're really happy to be here. As Amanda said, John Sloan just started as our new VP about two and a half weeks ago, so we're really excited to be working with him. He'll be a great contact for you in membership. And I've been with the AAMI membership department for about 3 years now, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about AAMI member benefits and some other initiatives coming up that might interest you. So if you are a AAMI member or considering joining, there's kind of 2 ways you receive benefits. There's benefits for both your company as a whole and also for your representatives on your membership roster. So first here on the screen are some of the company benefits that you would enjoy. As you know, there is a committee fee to participate on standards. Well, if you do join as a corporate member, that fee is waived, and you do get to have the representation on all the different standards and working groups, voting members, alternate member, and up to 6 liaisons per committee. Any of your employees are eligible to participate on standards once you join. We do also have the AAMI Career Center. Your company gets a significant discount on job postings. So if you're looking for new employees, that's a great resource for you. There's also deep discounts on all AAMI products like the e-subscriptions to our standards, or if you're purchasing any of the standards documents, companies receive discounts on those, as well as any of our private or public training or certifications, all of our courses. There's some really great discounts there for you to take advantage of, as well as advertising with AAMI, or if you're attending the AAMI Exchange or our other events, there's sponsorship and discounted booth space at those as well. Next slide, please. And then your representatives on your membership, based on the dues you pay, you get a set number of people who receive member benefits at your company. They are eligible to participate on the standards committees, as are the rest of your employees, but they also can participate on non-standards committees like the AAMI Awards Committee or be on the board of directors, and really grow in their volunteer opportunities with AAMI. They also receive online subscriptions to all of our publications like the BINT and AAMI News. And then they also receive discounts on products and purchases through the AAMI store. So while your company may want a large subscription to all of our standards, they can get the discount on individual things they may want for themselves. And there's a lot of great networking opportunities. There's AAMI Connect online discussion groups. We have different career center events, things like that, where people can really grow their network and grow professionally from being an AAMI member. Next slide, please. And something for you all to be aware of that's coming up. Each year, AAMI gives out awards, both from AAMI and the AAMI Foundation. 2 that are very specific to standards are the Standards Developer Award and the AAMI Technical Committee Award. The Standards Developer is awarded up to 5 people annually, and the Technical Committee up to 2 committees. It's a great way to honor your colleagues and friends who've been doing such great work in these areas. So something to really consider. We'll be opening nominations coming up here in October and take them through January. And then the winners are honored each year at an appropriate meeting, either the AAMI Exchange or a standards meeting. And it's a really great honor, and I'm really excited about it. So keep your eye open for information coming on that. And that's just kind of our general membership department information as far as email and phone number. Anyone on our team would be very happy to help you. John Sloan, as I mentioned, is the new Vice President of Membership, and that's his email there, as well as mine. So please feel free to reach out if you're ever interested in membership or have questions about your membership. We're happy to help you get connected through AAMI in any way that we can. Thank you, Amanda.
Okay, thank you, Mary Jane. So I do really want to encourage everyone to nominate your colleagues or technical committees for these awards to recognize them for their significant contributions to standardization in these areas. With that, I'd like to ask Anna Leggett to give us an update on the transition from the old AAMI Committee Central platform to the new AAMI Committee Central platform, which we've been going through for the past several months. Anna?
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. So this rollout has been a phased rollout, meaning we are bringing the groups over kind of in sections at a time. This schedule has largely depended on the work of those groups. We are trying to bring them over at lulls, or at least a time when there's a few days between work items or ballots or action items, to prevent you all from having to work in more than one system at a time. That said, there probably will be a couple of groups that will be straddling both platforms at the same time. And if that is the case, both the director, AAMI liaison running the committee, and I will be there with any resources that you need, and you will be kept well informed of the situation and what you'll be looking for on each platform. Prior to this transition, the standards and IT teams both had extensive training on the new platform and participated in the development of the features that it has. In regards to the transition, we do anticipate that it will be completed by mid-October. Like I said before, one or two groups might be on both platforms simultaneously, but you will be kept well informed of that. Now, on the AAMI website, you can find our Committee Central portal page. This is the page where you can see the platform that your groups are on throughout the transition. It's updated whenever a group is moved. So on that page, you'll see two columns, a column on the left that will include all of the groups that are currently on the old Committee Central platform, and a column on the right that will include all the groups currently on the new Committee Central platform. There are also links on that page at the top of each of those columns that will take you to their respective login pages. And if you ever have any questions about your login information or having trouble accessing the sites, feel free to reach out to me at standards@aami.org. Training resources can also be found on the AAMI website and in the new AAMI Committee Central. So on our website, we do have a training resources page that currently includes a training video and a list of FAQs. The FAQs are being updated as we receive more inquiries from you all and responses about the new system. And we are also in the process of developing additional detailed training on things like voting and commenting that will have more content area specific information. Like I said, we do appreciate all of your questions and feedback. I have been tracking them and working to incorporate them both into our new training and potential future iterations of the platform. We are planning on having some additional live trainings on specific aspects of the new Committee Central, so please send us your questions so that we can incorporate that to anything we do in the future. And like I said, I'm always happy to answer any questions that arise, so feel free to reach out to standards@aami.org and let me know what comes up.
Thank you very much, Anna. I wanted to talk a little bit about AAMI Standards resources and highlight that we have a wealth of information about AAMI Standards activity and other AAMI Standards resources that are publicly available through our website. To start with, you can find a complete listing of all of AAMI Standards committees and working groups on the website. Find information about their scope, what it is that they're working on, and also the AAMI Standards staff liaison that is working directly with those groups, so that you have a point of contact if you're interested in learning more about a particular committee or working group, or if you'd like to get involved. If you are wanting to join a committee, the committee application can also be found on our website. It can be downloaded, completed, and sent to Anna at standards@aami.org. Another resource that you might not be aware of that is really useful for staying up to date on our activities, what's going on, is the AAMI Standards Monitor online. This resource is updated and released about every 3 weeks. You can subscribe to receive it as a digest, or you can access it online. This particular resource will provide you information about what has been newly published, general announcements about activity within AAMI Standards. If we are seeking new members for particular groups, we have activity underway, and we're hoping to add to interest groups that are underrepresented. You'll find information there for calls for members, calls for participation. When we have documents that are out for public review, whether they're undergoing reaffirmation, if they're an American National Standard, or if it's a proposed new or proposed revised American National Standard, they'll be put out for public review, and our public review announcements will be in AAMI Standards Monitor online. You'll also find information about meetings of the AAMI Standards groups. So if you have interest in joining a meeting of an AAMI consensus body, that would be a good place to look to find information about when they're meeting and find the contact person to get information about it. You do not have to be a member of the group to participate as an observer in an AAMI Standards group meeting. They're open to the public. You can also find our new work item proposal forms there. We're very interested in getting your thoughts about where there's gaps in existing guidance and standards and other technical documentation. We want to make sure that we have a well-rounded portfolio, and we're addressing the needs for standardization. So you can download the new work item proposal form and submit your ideas to us. And as Joe mentioned earlier, you would likely work with him to help ensure that details are as complete as possible before we put it in front of the AAMI Standards Board for discussion about where it fits into the work program. You can also find our AAMI Standards program policies and procedures. These are our accredited procedures for our ANSI accreditation. The 2019 edition is currently on the website. We actually have a revision underway that is with ANSI, and we're hoping to have that approved within the next few weeks. So there should be an updated version of that coming soon. You can also find the procedures for AAMI's ISO and IEC US tags. Two separate procedures. They're a little bit different. You can also find our frequently asked questions there. That'll answer a lot of the questions that you have about, say, use of standards or participating in a committee. And we have participant resources as well. So you can find guidance for new participants in AAMI Standards. And if you're serving as a co-chair or considering serving as a co-chair, we do have a resources guide. Both of these resources will be updated when we have the 2021 edition of the AAMI Standards Program Policies and Procedures approved and released. So please do take a look at those and make use of those resources. Okay, with that, we'd like to move into some highlights for AAMI Standards activity. And I wanted to start with giving Joe Llewellyn an opportunity to talk about the upcoming virtual ISC. Joe?
Sure. I hope everyone is aware of the AAMI, FDA, and BSI International Standards Conference on Medical Device Standards and Regulation. This is a conference that AAMI has been hosting in cooperation or in partnership with the FDA and in recent years with BSI, but for over 30 years, since 1991. And it is normally an in-person conference held in the Washington, D.C. area, but due to the ongoing pandemic, we are going to be holding this year's conference virtually. And the conference takes place from Monday, October 18th through Wednesday, October 20th, from 10:30 a.m. until 3:15 p.m. We've divided the conference program into 3 separate days and 3 separate topics. The first day will be looking primarily at U.S. developments, what's going on in the U.S. and specifically what's going on with the FDA. Jeff Shuren, the director of CDRH, will be our keynote speaker addressing how to ensure safety and effectiveness of medical devices throughout the product life cycle. We will have other updates from the FDA on their Barbara Zimmerman will be talking about other FDA activities, and Bakul Patel will give us an update on the FDA's efforts on digital health. One particular session that I think will be very interesting is a panel of industry and regulatory experts who will examine and talk about what COVID-19 has shown us about the strengths and limitations of the U.S. medical device sector, and what are the implications of the future. This is not going to be simply a listing of what people did to respond to COVID-19, but really about what we learned that can help us make sure that in the future we are able to respond more effectively and that we address issues, such as supply chain shortages and things like that, so that we're able to move forward. Next slide. Day 2 is going to be an international focus, looking at what's going on internationally. We're going to have reviews of what's happening with the EU medical device directives, specifically looking at what it seems to be finally happening with recognition of standards to the new European medical device directives. And there's going to be an update on the Europeans in vitro diagnostics directive, which is coming into effect. We're also going to talk about MHRA, the United Kingdom's medicinal healthcare products and regulations, regulatory agency, and what they're doing to develop a regulatory framework and how that's going to look in the post Brexit world. We will be looking at specifically at what's going on in India, where we have some new and developments around medical device directives that need our attention, as well as looking at what's going on, particularly in the Americas, where we will have the leadership of the Inter-American Coalition for Regulatory Convergence, who will be talking about their efforts to bring regulatory harmonization across Latin America, as well as to ensure that Latin American regulators are utilizing the harmonized international standards that we as a community are developing. Next slide. The final day, we're going to start looking at some critical technologies and what those mean for us. We're going to start off with a keynote speech from Dr. Jesse Ehrenfeld, who is the former chairman of the AMA's Board of Trustees, is an accomplished author, writer, decorated veteran from the Afghanistan War, who's also a health informaticist, leading anesthesiologist, and I think the dean of the University of Wisconsin Medical School, a very, very high-level individual who's going to be talking about the looming challenges that personal health devices are going, and similar patient-focused devices are going to create for both clinicians and regulators. Digital health, how that's going to work. We're going to look at cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, UDIs, combination products, and also we're going to have a preview of the brand new, about to be published AAMI consensus report on cloud computing with medical devices and medical device quality systems, a new consensus report that should be out any day now, and which we further hope to take and create into a technical information report and perhaps one day a standard. So that is on the 18th through the 20th. You can register for it at AAMI.org, and we have offered participants who are on our standards committees the AAMI rate, whether they're actually AAMI members or not. And if you're interested and you're participating in a standards program and would like to register, please reach out to me and I can make sure to extend that rate to you as well. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Joe. Okay, we've had a lot of standards activity that I wanted to share with this group just briefly. We have a number of new documents that are out, many that are coming soon, and a few important things that are under development. So to highlight a few, we have recently released AAMI TIR 76, which is a new technical information report within radiation. It's substantiation of a selected sterilization dose at a specified sterility assurance level, method VD max. This document includes a calculator tool. It's a digital tool based on the document. Really exciting, the first of its kind for AAMI, where we have developed a calculator based on one of our standards deliverables. And you can access that in Annex B of that document. Also a new standard, PC 76, active implantable medical devices, requirements and test protocols for safety of patients with pacemakers and ICDs exposed to magnetic resonance imaging. We have also recently released TIR 42, evaluation of particulate associated with vascular medical devices, and TIR 43, ultra pure dialysis for hemodialysis and related therapies. Coming very soon, hopefully soon to be approved, a new standard, AAMI CN27, which is general requirements for Lure activated valves incorporated into medical devices for intravascular applications. Also a new technical information report, hope to be approved soon, TIR 101, fluid delivery performance testing for infusion pumps, and revised TIR 58, water testing methodologies. I'm happy to announce that revision of ST91, flexible and semi-rigid endoscope processing in healthcare facilities, is going through the final points of process. Hopefully that will be approved soon as well. And a new AAMI technical information report, TIR 100, end-to-end microbiological quality and sterility assurance. A couple of projects that are in development now that I wanted to bring to your attention, AAMI TIR 112, guidance for closed system transfer device testing with hazardous drugs. So if you're in this space or if you're involved with combination products, you might want to get involved with this new activity underway within our TIB committee. And within AAMI's Medical Equipment Management Committee, or EQ, we have a number of projects underway that we could really use some additional input into. One of them is a revision of EQ 56, recommended practice for a medical equipment management program. You know, again, information about all of these can be found in AAMI Standards Monitor online. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you have interest in any of these either newly released, soon to be released, or under development projects. Okay, so we did want to share some general news and announcements. We've started working with Costa Rica on national adoption and Spanish translation of AAMI standards. There's a few within the sterilization sphere that they're very interested in. So we've had conversations with the national standards body in Costa Rica and TECO to start discussing how that might work. Also wanted to mention that we are expecting to have a new edition of the Standards Roster Manager tool coming in the not so distant future after we've completed the transition over to new AAMI Committee Central. All the groups have been moved over and all are up and running. That will make it a lot easier for members with multiple representatives on the standards groups to manage their participation. And also wanted to give an advance well wishes to those that are in sterile processing. Sterile processing week is coming up second Sunday in October, so October 10th through 16th. I'm sure we will have more announcements coming out about that. With that, planning ahead a bit, as I mentioned, this is the first of a series of webinars. We will have an additional AAMI Standards Insider webinar event this year in the November timeframe, and then quarterly going forward into 2022. We would like your feedback. Let us know what you would like to see in the next webinars. As I mentioned, it will be more of a focus on our programs and not so much on our infrastructure, which we thought was important to share for this time around since we've had a number of changes. So please do let us know what you're interested in hearing more about. And to help wrap us up for today, I wanted to point out our primary points of contact for general inquiries. Please feel free to reach out to standards@aami.org. As Anna said, she's our point of contact if you have questions about AAMI Committee Central. For the time being, if you need assistance with your standards participation rosters, if you have just general questions about standards. If you have specific questions about your standards group's activities, what's going on with those projects, you can contact any of the AAMI Standards staff liaisons for the standards groups. And also feel free to reach out to me at any time, abenedict@aami.org. So with that, I wanted to thank everybody for joining us today. I hope it was an informative session for you. We look forward to having you join us in the future. And again, please do not hesitate to send us your thoughts, your feedback, your comments, and we look forward to working with you and talking with you again soon. Thank you, everyone.